Have repeatedly called all of the places I've been told to call, and I never get past the talking part. All of these people show their complete and total lack of respect by just talking over me. I tell them what the problem is, and I get talked over. Like they never heard the words that came out of my mouth. The FBI ain't no different. I've gone to them about many of these crimes, and of course, many of these predators have later been busted. Literally, the predators I told you about by name. Look at how many times Ted Bollinger has pulled that shit. Of course, we got this Wolnez fella, right? Did I walk up to him talking shit, starting shit? No, I certainly didn't. Did I speak up because I was victimized, or was I victimized because I spoke up? Well, being as I was victimized and then spoke up, and that is the order in which it happened, yeah, I would say I am well within my boundaries to speak up. That's something y'all don't get. If there's not a problem, I got nothing to bitch about. And I tried to tell people the proper protocol, how to protect people who are called mentally ill from exactly this kind of gaslighting. And the term mentally ill is used only in gaslighting. There is no other purpose for the word. It infers things and creates insinuations. That's why people's individual diagnoses are important. When you've got predators like William Barr, Tony Lothman, sorry. You've got predators like Scott DaCosta. These are predators with badges, and what is it that makes them predatory? They chose to take advantage of the mentally ill tag. Wanted to pretend like they had more clout than they did because, well, some of them used to be cops, right? Some of them currently are. All cops are bad. It just depends on how much bias there is towards you as an individual. If you live in an area where the police are predominantly white, you're going to have to deal with a lot of bias there if you're black. If you live in an area where everything is blamed on men, then you're probably going to have a lot of problems getting hurt if you're abused as a man. If you live in a Republican state or a Democratic state, right? It's not Democratic, it's a Democrat state. Big difference. Or a liberal state. The thing is that none of these systems of thinking or economics work. They don't work because they're always busy trying to throw propaganda at one another. We get to see how even Facebook gets involved with that, with their fact checking. And how often is their fact checking wrong? Quite a bit. And when it comes to the FBI, I called them a lot about the situations, because there were many. When people think that you're easy to victimize, they'll do it. How many people wanted to accuse me of harming people that I was never near? People I'd never met and didn't know. Look at how these predators chose to reinterpret me doing the right thing into me somehow being a horrible monster. How police officers did everything that they could to omit as much evidence as possible and as much information as possible. This country is disgusting, and anybody who wants to emulate the United States of America, my dear God Almighty, you're disgusting. Why? Why would you want to do that to your own people? You can tell a lot about a society by how it treats its most vulnerable citizens. That'd be the homeless and the disabled. They're the easiest to take advantage of, the easiest to exploit. Men are taught to blame themselves when they're abused. Women are taught to blame men when they're abused. This is the way of things. But it don't make it right. I'm not going to cater to 18 to 35-year-old women. People aren't victimized in just one category. The police don't just brutalize black people. Indigenous women are not the only people who go missing and murdered. We the people means we. It means we work together or we get nothing. And we the poor are the most stomped in this country. I've gone to all of the mandated reporters I'm supposed to. I've had people who wanted to claim to be advocates, but you also get to hear the same argument out of all of them. It's not their job, not their job, not their job. They can't do this, they can't do that. Here's jurisdiction being used as a tool. Police don't give a fuck about jurisdiction. They just pretend it happened, and lo and behold, it must be true as long as the person they say it about has no money. I've seen how easy two people working together can get off the streets. I've seen how easy that is when people work together for mutual benefit. Instead of pretending that it's one-sided and how dare you, how dare you, how dare you. I'm doing you a favor. Well, it's not a favor if I had to pay for it, is it? It's not a favor if you never did it, is it? Every single one of you fucking idiots who says you don't know what to do. Well, I guarantee you, you would figure it out if it was somebody you gave a shit about. Every goddamn one of you. Also, people tend to take pictures of the things they care about. So, if you got a girlfriend who's always posting up pictures of Louis Vuitton bags, Coach bags, and a shit ton of pictures of herself, she don't give a shit about you, she's still advertising. She's still throwing herself out there as a gold digger. And then we get to hear all these women making these excuses why it's okay. Oh, well, men are so horrible to us. Men are so horrible to us. It should be okay to do that. No, uh-uh, uh-uh. If you're that kind of woman, you're going to make a man's life hell no matter what he gives you. And you do make it bad for everybody. And then you have that expectation. Now, the FBI, repeatedly, when I've called them about abuses, what have I gotten? See, I ended up having to call the FBI because of the runaround by literally every other agency in Colorado. Virginia was just as shitty. Same thing with Nebraska, Wyoming, Washington State. The United States is horrible to its people. The people most likely to be poor are the working class. The most likely people to be in a physically demanding job are men of the working class. If they become injured on the job, they might get help. If they get injured off the job, they're fucked. And when it's somebody you don't care about, oh, it's a homeless person. We'll just call him a junkie. We'll just pretend he's on drugs. Or pretend he's a child molester or a rapist or a stalker. Some sort of creepy fucker, right? Meanwhile, the FBI has been protecting pedophiles. See, it all started off with some police who didn't want to do their jobs in Chesapeake, Virginia. They didn't bother to find out what happened. Didn't fucking care. Doesn't matter if I call the cops first. Nobody cares. Nobody. I'm a dude. I just need to man up. Just need to man up. I don't know how many man-hating lesbians in Boulder, Colorado came running to me when there was an issue because I was a dude. Well, all her friends would do is talk to her and tell her what to do and what to think and what to feel and try to come up with mean ways to get back at him. Oh my God. You have no idea how much time I have spent in my lifetime listening to women talk about their vengeance issues. About how they're going to get revenge on this guy and they're going to get revenge on that guy. Holy shit. There's only one guy that I know who thinks about hurting people that much, and it is hurting people. You didn't get what you wanted. Okay. So what? Men are used to not getting what they want. Men are used to not getting their needs met. And men are used to listening to women whine that they're not getting enough no matter how much we give. Now, there's a lot of people that chose to be predatory and chose to gaslight me. Now, these police officers and other assorted mandated reporters before Natalie died didn't care, God damn it, didn't care how much I was abused. They just wanted to send me around in circles. It's always someone else's job, always someone else's job. It's the Nebraska Attorney General's job. It's the state trooper's job. They all send you in different directions. They'll also lie to you. See, in Nebraska, when I had to try to turn in Scott DaCosta and his deputies, starting in February of 2018, I hadn't even met Scott DaCosta yet. I had to turn in his deputies. I also had to try to turn in the situation with Nicole Peralta and Tamara. All these people who claim that they would help me to turn it in, they didn't. They didn't help to turn it in. They promised they would come forward and tell the truth. Then they wanted me to keep their names out my mouth. No. I kept their names out my mouth. I told the story and kept their names private at the very start. I wanted to believe that these friends of mine were actually friends who actually cared. But no, they didn't. They didn't actually care. They wanted their pretty words to fix it. Joanna Taylor Smith, blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl, thinking that she's got this great and wonderful white girl wisdom from growing up as a pretty white girl with all of the benefits thereof. Of course, she ain't going to admit that. She's going to talk about how women in the past were oppressed. You do not get to change the fucking subject. Neither do the cops. Neither does 988. Neither does 911. Neither does 211. Nor does the hospital. Amanda Jonas and Investigator Woods did everything that they could to make me feel uncomfortable, to lie to me, and to, of course, redirect me, to try to take advantage of me as if I was a retard. Sorry, not Amanda Jonas. I meant Sergeant Jones. The Nebraska State Patrol. It is their job. Nebraska Attorney General's office also told me it was their job. So what did the state troopers do to protect Scott DaCosta? For 18 months, they ran me around in circles saying it was not their job and sending me to every single other jurisdiction. Nebraska State Patrol Troop E was not the first one that they sent me to. I've got over 24 recordings on this channel between myself and the Nebraska State Troopers where they changed their story repeatedly, over and over and over again, about who it gets turned into and what their job is. I've got dozens of calls with the FBI that are the same. It all depends on who it is. I have to deal with predators like this Wolnez feller, like that Molly lady, like James Murphy. And even worse, I have to deal with predation by law enforcement nationwide. That includes the FBI. How many of these victims are mad at me for going public? Now, how many of these victims should have come forward with me to begin with in private? They had their fucking chance. They played fucking head games and it got people killed. I don't owe it to you to take your bullshit. I don't owe it to you to take your manipulation tactics. I have kids, I have kids, I have kids. You know what? Having kids does not excuse your actions. Then there's when you want to make excuses for my predators. Oh, he was probably just drunk. Does being drunk make it okay to assault people? Does it? Does being drunk make it okay to threaten to kill people? Huh? Oh, dude, he's just a drug addict, man. Nobody fucking cares. Nobody's gonna listen to him. Well, maybe you should look at the situations. Or, of course, there's the people saying, oh, dude, Chris Kurth is an idiot. Nobody gives a shit what he has to say. Really, because he was able to convince several people to threaten to kill me. Christopher Kurth, not once at all his bullshit did he ever come at me without help. He always come at me sideways like a punk-ass little bitch. Always wanted to have somebody else do his dirty work. Twice it was Carl Snell. Then there's that guy Dan out at Sandy Fromm's farm. Outside of Lodgepole, Nebraska, that's right. Across multiple jurisdictions. Chris Kurth did that across multiple jurisdictions. Yeah. And y'all pretend like because Natalie was killed in Colorado that I can't bring that up. Well, why is it the people want to keep pretending this shit? They're allowed to harm me by slandering my name. I've never been wanted for murder. I've never been arrested for murder. So obviously, I've been convicted of murder. I don't murder people. I don't molest children. I don't beat children. I don't beat women. I don't lock people in fucking closets like Douglas Pollock. One of the former Dual County lawyers. What do they call him? The DA? The county attorney. That's what it was. Now, these people work together with each other every day. They don't care if you're fucking guilty or innocent. They'll fucking frame you quick, fast, and in a hurry. They'll work like that to give you a kangaroo court. If they don't like you, that's how it'll go. They won't allow you to show evidence. They'll call you mentally ill. Why? Because they fucked up and they won't admit it. All the places that I was sent to for help before Natalie was killed, just like after, they all want to hide their words. They want to hide behind jurisdiction. They want to bully me into going elsewhere. Anything except admit that they didn't do their goddamn jobs. What the fuck are we paying them for? To abuse men, that's what we're paying them for. To abuse the disabled, that's what we're paying them for. To abuse the homeless, that's what we're paying them for. Without a friend or family member who fucking gives a shit, all of these places that help you out are only going to victimize us for more tax dollars. Because while you're paying for all this stuff, all this government insurance, my disability money, my back payments, where did it all go? Right back to the goddamn government. Because I told on bad people. All of you have a different idea of what the right thing to do is. Well, I don't give a fuck about what your idea is. What I give a fuck about is stopping the predators, stupid. Every single one of you people who wanted to tell me that people were threatening to kill you and your family. Every single one of you put other people's families at risk. You wanted to gaslight me. It happens. Nebraska state troopers, after over 18 months of bullshitting me, sending me back to Scott DaCosta to investigate himself. He sends me back to the Nebraska State Troopers. Nebraska State Troopers send me back to Scott DaCosta. Talked to Polly Olson on multiple occasions about that. She just wanted to talk over me. They all do. Why is it? It's because she's friends with the police there. You get to see how every single one of these situations where predators and law enforcement that I told on, that I was forced to go to for help. You get to see Sarah Nelson, the assistant warden at the Lincoln prison. What was she arrested for? Sexual assault against an inmate. Yeah, that's right. How about Michelle DeCini, sexual assault against an inmate? How about Garden County, Nebraska? Sheriff Michelle Quinn, domestic assault. Dual County Treasurer Polly Olson, stealing a whole bunch of money from the American taxpayers, specifically the taxpayers of Dual County. All investigated by who? Nebraska State Patrol. Who kept on telling me it's not their job. So, December 2019, after being sent back and forth repeatedly, I called the Dual County number because Nebraska State Troopers told me I had to turn it into Dual County. I had to turn it into the Dual County Sheriff's Office. So that's what I did. Dual County Sheriff's Office said I had to go to the Nebraska State Troopers. So I did. Instead of doing it with somebody else, because after all that time, I still hadn't found anyone to make those calls with me. I got blown off over 30 times in one night, and then I got arrested for using 911. Now, you might not know this, but in Dual County, it's the same call center, whether you call the emergency number or the non-emergency number. Meanwhile, this abuse has been ongoing and long-term, which means that it is an emergency. It is an emergency. Now, finally, Sergeant Jones, after those calls, I was told that a state trooper was going to come out and help me, and they were going to investigate. Instead, Sheriff Scott DaCosta was beating on my door and bullying me. In a little shack away from the house so I wouldn't disturb Dallas Richmond. It was fucking freezing in that goddamn thing. Dallas Richmond hadn't had a job in months. We finally got one. Before that, it was primarily myself and his family paying the bills. But I was glad to have a place to stay. Now, Sergeant Jones of Nebraska State Patrol Troop E called me after Scott DaCosta and State Trooper Lassen assaulted me, twisted my leg, put a knee on the back of my neck for trying to turn in Scott DaCosta and his deputies. After over 18 months of being sent back to Scott DaCosta, instead of being allowed the right to fucking turn him in the right way, without them fucking it up, playing stupid, and sending me to the wrong places. They're not allowed to give me legal advice, right? Well, they gave all sorts of illegal legal advice. Every one of these places is recorded doing these things. Scott DaCosta, Dual County Treasurer. I always liked Michelle Quinn, by the way. Now, when Sergeant Jones of Nebraska State Patrol Troop E finally got a hold of me after Scott DaCosta and a state trooper had assaulted me. She'd sent an investigator out and he was a fucking dick. He wanted to keep on talking over me and pretending that facts, F-A-C-T-S, were opinions. No. If I can prove it, it's not a goddamn opinion, dumbass. Now, Amanda Jonas, when I spoke with her, I said, hey, Nebraska Attorney General's office told me to turn it into the state troopers. And she told me, well, we don't investigate until the Attorney General's office tells us to. And I said, well, how does that happen? She said, well, we investigate. So you have to investigate in order to get the Attorney General's office to tell you investigate, but you won't investigate until the Nebraska Attorney General's office tells you to investigate. This sounds like a fucking runaround of goddamn bullshit to me. By the way, it's fucking recorded on this channel. Sergeant Jones of Nebraska State Patrol, Troop E. There's also just about every other Nebraska State Patrol troop recorded on my channel. And it gets to the point where I'm not nice to any of them. When law enforcement sends the victim to mental health because they don't want to do their job, mental health tries to figure out why the fuck the cops sent you there. It's the cops' job. I don't know why they're sending you here. Well, the reason is because according to the law, you're supposed to be a mandated reporter, and turning in those officers to themselves is a conflict of interest. Boogers. Is Scott DaCosta really going to investigate himself? No, he's not. He's going to play this run around in circles playing hot potato with all the other law enforcement agencies across multiple jurisdictions in Nebraska. Each one of these places saying it's not their job. Every one of them sending me to somewhere else. Meanwhile, no crime that I turn in to Scott DaCosta is going to be investigated. He's going to do everything that he can to abuse his power to see to it that none of my evidence sees the light of day. He, Leslie Snell, William Barr, got their friends and family involved in gaslighting me too. That dipshit yesterday, Wolnez, he wanted to get physically violent with me. Because why? Because he's a fucking idiot. Because he heard a rumor and don't care if it's true. The FBI are cowards. Same with the local police. They're a gang, nothing more. They will gang up on you and take your money. And if you're poor, it's easy to do. When they want to trump up false charges, they arrest you instantly. But it takes you literally years to get a goddamn motherfucker to listen to you when you're being abused. When you try to turn in cops, you get blown off left, right, and center. The FBI was involved in Natalie Bollinger's case. They were also involved in suppressing evidence so that police officers wouldn't get in trouble. I literally had to threaten the President of the United States. That's no joke. That is literally what I had to do. That's what I had to resort to. But not just in that order. No. In August of 2018, after over 8 months of fucking hell, 8 months of my friends and family members either blowing me off or telling me people are threatening to kill them and their children, with my predators playing victim and my friends playing stupid. Yeah, I threatened a whole bunch of predators all at once. I threatened all the people who threatened to kill my friends and family. I didn't use their names. Then I went to Kenneth Wilson and Leatha Plunkett's, and I lit the road on fire right next to their truck. And then I posted about it on Facebook and YouTube. In the hope that one of my predators would turn it in, because then maybe I would get a day in court. Because nobody's gonna fucking listen to me unless I got a friend or family member who fucking gives a shit and helps to turn it in right away. If you can't do it right away, I understand. If it takes you 2 goddamn weeks, though, you don't give a fuck about the person. It doesn't take 2 weeks to fucking turn it in. All these people who wanted to play Let's Make a Deal. No. No. They didn't keep their end. I am under no obligation to keep mine. I kept your name secret because you promised to come forward with me to the police. When you didn't do that, all bets are off. You broke our social contract. You broke our verbal agreement. You took advantage of me knowingly, willingly, and intentionally. You're goddamn right, I speak up, somebody has to. Now this Wolnez feller, he don't like getting his own medicine back, does he? Of course he don't. He don't like being called any of the things that he wanted to call me, does he? What a punk. Just like the FBI, a bunch of punks. Just like local law enforcement, a bunch of punks. You don't do things based on right or wrong, or based on the law. You do it based on who someone's going to care about. Oh, you can't stick up for a man. No, because bias says that the men must be guilty. So you let them hang for things that you did. How fucking disgusting is that? The United States is a disgusting place. I know, I live here. I was born here. The mentality of people here is gross. The people we cater to, they're not the people who are most likely to be victimized. No, the people they pretend are predators, whenever they don't get what the fuck they want, are the most likely to be victimized. Men are the most likely to be murdered. That's right. 96% of those killed by police, well, 97%. It's like 3.12% of the people who are killed by police are women. 97% are men. 97%. Where a man is told that he has to just let it go. A woman is taught to manipulate people into hurting a man when she doesn't get what she wants. We need to teach our girls that no means no. No, you don't need that fucking Louis Vuitton bag. No, you don't need to take your bullshit out on innocent people. Him telling you no, he doesn't want to date you anymore does not make it okay to pretend like he's a child molester, a rapist, a cross-dresser, a pedophile. Just because you didn't get what you wanted. When I say I'm afraid of women, I have every reason to be. Just because not every woman out there is predatory towards me doesn't mean that she's not fully aware that she can be if she chooses to be. If she doesn't get what she wants. If she hears the word no. This is compounded when there's drugs involved, which is why I avoid those too. Of course, then I'm sent to services that really only care if you're a drug addict. And even then, they only care because that means more money if they can get you to come to therapy for an entire year. A lot more money. Meanwhile, I'm in Oregon. Per capita, there are more pedophiles in this state per person than any other state in the union. Holy hell. It's surprising we haven't had a dozen or two of the pedophiles in this town just come out and lynch me. Yep. The FBI don't give a shit about you, and they helped a lot of predators get away. You know what else? The FBI has the power and the ability to recollect every piece of evidence that was destroyed on the internet. They have the ability to get all of that back. They have the ability to go through all of my evidence and lock up close to 300 predators of the sexual sort alone, to begin investigations against a lot of people involved in human trafficking, actual human trafficking as it really is. Of course, I can't say none of that, can I? Because it's all crazy talk, isn't it? Gross. Sergeant Jones. Amanda Jonas was actually a cop in Colorado who tried pulling similar shit with another bad cop. A cop that used to be a cop where Natalie lived in Colorado, who didn't do his job. Now let's get back to Sergeant Jones, Nebraska State Patrol Troop E. She was going to come see me. They were going to bring a truck. She was going to talk to her supervisor, and they were going to come and take all of my evidence. Knowing that I needed it for court, they had permission to make copies of it, but they wanted to take all of it, and I was willing to do that. This is after the assault by Scott DaCosta, and in between when I made the appointment with her, and she was supposed to make a call to her supervisor, and he was going to call me back to make sure that we set up the appointment for Thursday morning. He never called me back. Instead, I was busy getting restricted call after restricted call after restricted call from stalkers. By doing this restricted call bullshit that all of these places do, that doesn't announce their caller ID or let you know who they are. This is not only entrapment, it is endangering victims. It is preventing us from being able to tell the difference between a cop and a pedophile harassing us over the internet. But then again, there's not much difference. There's not much difference between a pedophile harassing us on the internet and a police officer in real life, is there? No, there really is. Both of them act with impunity. Both of them. But pedophiles, oh, they have to be afraid. The police don't have to be afraid that way. They'll work together to slander your name. Just pretend anything said by something else with a badge is gospel, and God damn it, that makes it all right to commit felonies yourself against the son of a bitch, don't it? You got busted. Fucking fess up. Serve your time. Man up. I've been trying to give this evidence free. Silver platter and everything. And they still don't show up to do a goddamn thing with it. Still won't look at it. All these places you want to send me to, I tell you, hey, I have recordings with individuals who are supposed to do their job. This shit needs turned in. It is gaslighting. When people's ears turn off, the moment you tell them a police officer did something wrong and protected a predator who committed felonies against you, holy hell, that is exactly why you need a friend or family member to go in with you right away, so that you don't have to try to turn it in alone, because you'll get blown off. Nobody will look at the evidence. Sergeant Jones did everything that she could to not have to show up. And then, of course, with the assault by Robert Franklin Warnick. And I had to turn that into Dual County Sheriff's Department still, after all the felonies they'd committed, including felony assault, false arrest. This is systemic abuse. These are human rights violations. There is no statute of limitations on what Scott DaCosta did. There is no statute of limitations on what Investigators Woods did. There is no statute of limitations on the abuses and crimes committed by these individuals who you are paying your taxes to. And then all the taxes that you pay me so that I can live on it is spent jumping through hoops, trying to force them to do their goddamn jobs. There is nothing left of the Constitution. You can see that politicians don't give a fuck. These stupid cunt rags play word games just like the police.